Thank you very much. I haven't used that twin reference in the introduction. I've said lots of very important things about myself to garner your interest and support, but I haven't pulled out the twins yet. Yes, I talked to my boys this morning. They were apparently covered in oatmeal in our kitchen in Smithers, BC, and one of them has just learned how to say banana. And so we're very excited about that. He loves bananas. Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting this. I know you're all here mostly to hear about the budget of the local riding association, and I think that's fantastic that you have so much keen interest in the fiscal realities of this particular riding. This is fantastic. This is what this is all about. As we have entered into this leadership race, me and my 8 friends, and I can say that, we're trying to cap it under double digits for this leadership race, because once it got up to there, it could just keep on going. If anyone would like to enter, we're taking entrances at the back. You can sign up today. What we wanted to enter into was a conversation. Je veux dire quelques mots en français aussi, parce que la communauté francophone, franco-alégonienne, je peux dire, là, c'est tellement important à réaliser, là, que cette compétition, c'est plus qu'une conversation. Une conversation entre nous et aussi avec le pays. Parce qu'on a l'opportunité, comme Paul a dit, pour réaliser quelque chose de spécial. Maintenant, ici pour l'avenir, c'est tellement important pour l'NPD de réaliser quelque chose. Cette opportunité, peut-être une fois par vie. Et on doit prendre l'opportunité, la conversation avec les Canadiens et Canadiennes, et réaliser quelque chose de spécial. So, for me, that was the obligatory French to prove to you that I could speak some. But it's got to be more. It's got to be more. It's got to be more. It's got to be the understanding of what makes up this beautiful country, right? And when Alexa told me some years ago that she wasn't going to stand again, I was immediately disappointed, but understanding, and also worried that there was no way, really, someone could replace her for the work that she'd done and bring people together around Halifax and across Nova Scotia in the special way that she did. And yet, we've done it. I said this the other night. I know, Alexa's like, get on with it, get on with it. I said this the other night. Alexa and I were in Blandford, Nova Scotia, which is a name that's got to work on its name a little bit. And on the drive there, I said, Alexa, you know, I've done this exercise before where you have to learn as a leader, as a person standing in public, to take proper recognition for your work. And this woman doesn't get proper recognition for all that she's done in forming this government here in Nova Scotia, and for what the NDP has realized across the country. Now really what I was actually trying to get to, other than praising Alexa, she serves me breakfast and is a nice person, is that the power of your member of parliament in the House of Commons is something to behold. Although, my friends, we apparently have a traitor in our midst. I don't know if you heard the story, but Megan Leslie had the audacity, I say, to go to Washington and tell the Americans that the Stephen Harper view of the world was not the only view coming from Canada. Shame on all of you. You are now complicit in this conspiracy against this sovereign nation. How dare we suggest the idea that exporting jobs and raw bitumen out of Canada and nearly adding 30% to the size of the tar sands is somehow a Canadian idea, to suggest that we should have our own energy security in this country. And that Canadians shouldn't be given the idea that you must choose between clean air, clean water, and a job. Yes. And that somehow we can stand up for our own rights. When I was the environment critic, we were dealing with climate change a lot. It was a crisis. Remember 2005, 2006? It was a crisis. Apparently, to the journalists and the government, that crisis has somehow been averted. But last I checked, we're still hooked into a very bad situation. And when I would travel to Washington and talk to those same folks about the same ideas, I had to ask the Americans what our climate change policy was. Because our climate change policy, according to the Conservative government, wasn't being written here in Canada. It was going to be written in Washington. And for a sovereign government to stand up and actually suggest that another nation should be in charge of something so critical, an issue as our own energy, is an affront to me as a Canadian. And Paul said this well, and I think this is important. We've seen Conservative governments in this country before. That's not what we're watching every day in Parliament right now. This is a government who hates the idea of government. Huh? Yes. Ronald Reagan once said this, and it could have come from Stephen Harper too. Ronald Reagan said, some people think that the solution to all of their problems is the government. I think government is the problem. You can almost tattoo that on Stephen Harper's arm. Because every day I watch him undermining some of the things that I didn't think we could undermine. The basic democratic principles of what it is to have an exchange and a debate and a conversation within this country. And what we must do as New Democrats, what we're beholden to do, is not just change the government, which we will. We must change the way we do politics in this country and open that door back up to the millions of Canadians that do not cast the ballot. Open that door up to the youth that are coming up that do not see themselves reflected in the conversation. And say to Canadians that we can do this, because imagine this. Imagine if we are gathered in this room right now. And what if we are at the beginning of something incredible? To give Canada, for the first time in our great history, a progressive government. A government that reflects our progressive values of childcare, of a decent environment, of a foreign policy with some sort of notion of balance and humanity restored. Because what if we were all engaged in that conversation right now? In rooms across this country over the next 4 months, as me and my friends go out and have that conversation, we can do this. We can be this government if we reach out beyond ourselves. And this is important. We must not have a violent agreement for the next 4 months amongst the leadership campaigns and the candidates about all the things that New Democrats believe and hold and cherish. That's great. But we must also take that next step and talk to Canadians. Canadians who are not voting, not signing up as members, not in this room here today. Your friends, your neighbors, your family. We need them right now. Because in 4 years, what's at stake is our country. And in 4 years, I want my country back. I want a country that believes in civil society. A country that believes that an honest day's work should get an honest day's pay. A country that believes that the collective rights of workers to join together and negotiate and bargain with their employers is a right. Yeah? I love Nova Scotia, although I picked this tie up when I was going through Montreal a couple days ago, and I didn't realize that this tartan might be offending apparently the McDonald's here today. So, my apologies, because there was apparently some battle fought a few hundred years ago in Scotland, and this design was worn in. And regardless, as Alexa and I were going through Blandford, I experienced the most unique Nova Scotia experience. I was told by Lenore, your beautiful and talented MLA, who is just stunning in her approach to politics. She said, as we were sitting in the crowd, never follow children or a dog onto stage. And wouldn't you know it, I didn't just follow a dog that night at the fundraiser. I followed up on stage behind a singing wiener dog. No, my friends, I couldn't make this up. If you sing Lyle Lovett, apparently this dog sings too. And so it did, and at that beautiful fundraiser for Denise, I ended up with a doorknob. Because I tried to up the bid on a doorknob that was at the auction. And I pushed it from $30 to $40, and apparently the room dried up at that point for the doorknob. And as I tried to donate the doorknob back to the local riding association, I found out I was breaking Nova Scotia election laws. So it was insisted upon me that I must keep the doorknob and travel with it across this country. I renegotiated. I got a couple of Lenore CDs for $40. That felt a lot better than trying to explain to the people at the good Halifax airport why I was trying to get a doorknob through security. What that had to do with being a politician. Allow me to say this. Allow me to say this. In changing the way we do our politics, we offer hope. None of us, and this may sound strange as a leadership candidate, none of us want to be in this race. We don't want to be here. That wasn't the plan. No. Not at all. The plan was entirely different. This has been thrust upon us by circumstance in life. And that happens sometimes. And my feeling is, in being with New Democrats across this country, we're in two states at the same time. We're in a period of hope and thinking about the future, and we're in a period of mourning. We lost a friend. And it's proper. It's proper to mourn. We've got to give ourselves that space. Yeah? But what we can't do, and I'm sure Jack would insist on this, what we can't do is lose focus. Not for a moment. Because what we're seeing happen to our country on a day-to-day basis in Parliament is an obligation and a calling. And that calling must be to form a more perfect and better country. A place in which we all see ourselves reflected in our politics and feel that hope again so that we can do something about the planet. We can do something for our kids, and we can leave this place better than we found it. It should be the pledge of every Prime Minister, but this one can't say that. And that's a shame. This isn't about right and left, my friends, this is right and wrong. And we need to find ourselves in that sacred place where we can reach out to Canadians, progressive Canadians, to those that didn't vote, those who've never voted, those that are confused, and say we have an obligation to one another to do something more perfect, more hopeful, more beautiful. And that we'll do together. Thank you very much.